Hello everybody. We are going to create an outline from scratch. I want to show you how to put together a demonstration speech and create some speaking notes so that you can effectively present your demonstration speech. So let's get started. Now, if you've been listening to what I've been talking about these past couple of weeks, you know that you have to come up with a topic, a specific purpose statement, and a central idea. So for this demonstration speech, I decided that I am really good at packing for a 3 to 5 day trip using only one carry-on suitcase. If that's what I decide that I'm going to do for my topic, I can very quickly come up with the topic and specific purpose statement. So my topic is packing a carry-on suitcase. And my specific purpose statement would be to demonstrate to my audience how to pack for a trip using only a carry-on suitcase. Now at this point, I may not be able to come up with my central idea because I really haven't thought it through, but I know what I want to talk about. Now, once I've organized the body of the speech, I will come up with that central idea and go back and put it in. So, now remember that we need to start with the body of the speech because we need to know how it's going to be organized before we actually start putting together our outline. I sit down and I think about the process of packing a suitcase. And after I've thought it through, I come up with the following possible main points. I've got three. The first step is considering your destination and purpose, because really before you pack anything, you need to know where you're going. The second step is choosing your clothing, shoes, and toiletries, because once you know where you're going, you know the kinds of things you're going to need. So that's what goes in that second main point. And then finally, the final step is using some simple techniques to actually pack the suitcase and put everything in it and make it fit. Once I've thought that through and I realize that those are going to be my three main points, I can start to put the whole outline together. Now, I know what my main points are, so I can come up with a central idea. So I've got my topic, which is packing a carry-on suitcase. I've got my specific purpose, which is to demonstrate to my audience how to pack for a trip using only a carry-on suitcase. And my central idea, which remember, it needs to be a single sentence that has all my main points in it so the audience knows what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so what I decide to say is this. In order to effectively pack a single carry-on suitcase for a 3 to 5 day trip, you need to consider your purpose and destination, choose your clothing wisely, and pack effectively. So I've got all three of my main points in there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, once we've got that, we can start to figure out what our introduction is, create transitions, fill in our subpoints and sub-subpoints in the body and flesh that out and come up with a really effective conclusion. Let's see what my outline might look like. Here's my demonstration speech outline. It's got my name, my topic, my specific purpose statement, and my central idea. And as you can see, I've labeled everything. I labeled the introduction. And in that introduction, I don't just write it out in a big paragraph. I break it down by function. So I've got my attention getter labeled, my topic labeled, my credibility statement labeled, and my preview labeled. Because I've done that, I know that I fulfill each one of those functions. Okay, so for my attention getter, I start by asking the audience to think about the last time they went on vacation and ask them about how many suitcases they had. In the topic relevance, I talk about how annoying it is to stand in line at the ticket counter and pay extra for suitcases, and then say, what if I told you that I can pack for a 3 to 5 day trip using just one carry-on bag? It might seem impossible, but it's totally possible. Now, my credibility, obviously, I've done it before, and so I talk about how I can travel pretty much any place in any kind of weather and pack using only one carry-on so that people know that I know what I'm talking about. Then my preview. Remember, the preview is where you briefly state what the purpose of the speech is and what what your main points are going to be. So today I'm going to show you how to pack. You'll learn what things you need to consider, how to choose your clothing, and I'll even show you some of my packing secrets to make everything fit. We need a transition into the body of the speech. So I say before you even think about packing, you need to think about your destination. Now I can move into the first main point, which is the first step is to consider your purpose and destination. Now I need to fill in that main point with the subpoints. And my subpoints are talking about knowing why you're traveling, considering the weather, and figuring out the things that you won't need to take with you because they are at your destination, so you don't need them. So then I fill in those subpoints with sub-subpoints. And so look under subpoint A, knowing why you're traveling. Is it for business or pleasure? Subpoint B, considering the weather. If it's cold, you're going to need certain things. If it's warm, you're going to need certain things. And C, the things that you won't need to take with you because they already are at your destination. Okay, so now I fleshed out that first main point. Now, I need a transition to get from one main point to the second main point. So I say, now that you've considered why and where you're going, you can start to plan your wardrobe, which leads me nicely into my second main point, which is the next step is to choose what to take with you. Now I break that down into 3 subpoints, and the first subpoint has to do with actual clothing. And I consider suits, evening wear, tops and shirts, other clothes, underwear, and what you can wear on the plane, like jeans and coats, which are too big really to pack. Okay, so that's my first subpoint. The second subpoint has to do with shoes. I say that you should really take one casual pair and one more formal pair, and then if you need boots, you should wear those on the plane. So I've got 3 sub-subpoints right there. Then my third subpoint C is take the minimum toiletries and accessories, and then I talk about the specific things that you might actually need to take with you. So then I need to move into my third main point, and I need to transition. So I have, okay, you've carefully chosen exactly what you need. Now you need to pack it. And that moves me into my final main point, which is the final step is to use some effective packing techniques to make it all fit into the bag. So then I have 5 subpoints there that are the steps involved in packing the suitcase. Subpoint A has to do with shoes. You put them in shoe bags and stick them in the corners. Subpoint B is rolling things that can be rolled and starting to fill the bottom of the suitcase with that. Subpoint C is for things that can't be rolled. Carefully fold them and lay flat on top of the rolled items. Subpoint D, closing and zipping the suitcase. And subpoint E, putting all your extras, your toiletries in Ziploc bags and put them in the outside pocket. Now I'm done. Basically, I'm done with the body of the speech. I need a transition to get into the conclusion. So my transition is, so there you have it, a perfectly packed bag. That leads me into the conclusion, which is a summary and a closing statement. So I summarize. Today I showed you what you'll need to know to pack a single carry-on with everything you need for your next trip. And then I summarize the 3 main points that we talked about and my closing statements. Which I need to leave them with something to remember the speech by. So I say, if you use these tips and tricks I showed you, you'll get off the plane at your destination and stroll by all those people waiting at the luggage carousel for their bags. Just wave goodbye to them as you start your adventure. So that's a good, solid ending to my speech. It puts the audience in a good mood and helps them to remember what I said. All right, so I just created very quickly an outline for a demonstration speech, but I'm not done yet because I need to now create speaking notes. And once you've completed the outline, you need to start thinking about your speaking notes. Remember, you can only have 3 note cards, and those cards can only have up to 200 words total on them. Now, you're going to need to start by reading your outline out loud over several times just to get the flow of the speech. And you may want to say things differently or whatever, but just get it into your brain and get it out of your mouth. Verbal is very, very important. Don't just read it over in your head. You need to say those words. And once you're comfortable with them, then you need to decide which of those words you're going to need in your speaking notes, on your note cards, to help you remember the ideas that you want to get across. Now, something that you need to keep in mind that you should always keep the structure of the outline in your speaking notes. Don't just put a bunch of bullet points or just a bunch of words on paper because you will be very confused. Keeping the structure helps you to know where you're at in the speech. And then once you've done that, then you can start practicing using just your notes. Obviously, the first couple of times you do it, you're going to get confused, but you can always refer back to the outline to find out, where you lost your place. But you want to get to the point where you don't need the outline at all and you can give the speech only from those note cards. So here's an example of a note card. Remember, try to get the big ones. You can write the words large on them so you can see them when you look down at them. So as you can see, I kept the structure of the outline in my note cards, but I took out a lot of the words. There's about 90 words on this particular note card. And here's the second note card, and it's got the second and the third main point on it, and there's about 50, there's not very many, maybe 60 words on this particular note card. And then I hardly needed a third note card because I got most of it on there. But there's about 190 words total on those 3 note cards. I hope this little video helped you to be able to put together your demonstration speech and create your note cards.